When a famous person dies, especially if a famous person is murdered, there's always a clamouring for a kind of territorial claims. I knew him in this way, I knew him in that way, I'm affected in this manner, this is my proximity, this is my affinity, these are my colours. I didn't know Charlie Kirk that well. Went on his show a couple of times, and he went on my show a couple of times, and I was working with him. And what I liked about Charlie Kirk is that he was a provocative and confrontational man who was really willing to have conversations with people that he didn't agree with deliberately. And it seems that that's in part the inspiration for his murder and assassination. This is going to impact a lot of people because he's the first person from this space to be assassinated. Have a scroll down your X, or have a scroll down, wherever you get your information these days. Perhaps it's from someone like Charlie Kirk or Steve Bannon, or all of the people, Crowder, Poole, all of the people that have emerged in this space, in this time. And you'll note the people that are, let's say, not fans of Charlie Kirk, although you'll be astonished if you're not a fan of Charlie Kirk, how many people clearly really, really love him. How people are saying, well, it's ironic because he was pro-gun laws, or why don't you care more about Gaza? And I, for one, do really care about Gaza, and I do really care about death everywhere. And what I really admire about Charlie Kirk and find particularly sad about his passing is that if all of us were more willing to have conversations with people we disagreed with and to try to be non-judgmental, not to say that he wasn't something of a provocateur, that he was an orator, he liked rhetoric, he liked dialectic, he liked getting into it with people. The idea that would be in any way used to justify an assassination shows you something real powerful, significant and important. We're living in this kind of compounded momentum of online hate. What I mean by that is that there's so much incendiary invective, and that person should be killed, F around and find out. So how would you feel if they were bombing Mexico or bombing Scotland? Constant comparisons and a constant escalating, compounding, competing vitriol that in the end, an almost natural expression and graduation of it is violence and murder. What I also feel moved by is that Charlie Kirk's a Christian. He believes in the resurrection of Christ Jesus. He believes that Christ Jesus died for you and for me. He believes that Christ Jesus has no favourites. He understands, or understood, that we're all gonna die, and if we turn away from sin, we may be redeemed and we may rise again with Jesus. And I tell you, man, with this fracturing, fragmenting culture right now, with people just almost competing to say the smartest thing, the most sanctimonious thing, the most sentimental thing, it might be time for us to really consider some different ideas. And by different ideas, I mean ideas that we've discarded. Ideas like the supreme thing you can do is sacrifice yourself for what you believe in. Charlie Kirk, I'll tell you this, he believed in what he said. And I think Charlie Kirk, if he'd known that saying what he believed in would lead to his murder, even though he was a father of 2 young children and a husband, I think he still would have done it. How many people in the chat criticising him and saying, why aren't you saying this about Gaza or that about gun control or whatever? How many of them would die for what they believe in? Charlie Kirk has died for what he believed in. He's been killed for what he believed in. And a lesson we can take from it perhaps is face-to-face conversations, even difficult ones, are necessary and certainly favourable to ongoing polarisation, particularly when that polarisation leads to out-and-out murder. As a Christian, I pray for my brother Charlie Kirk, and I pray for Erica and his family, and I pray for other people in this space like me, because the fact is there ain't loads of people in this space, of people that are online mouthy people on the left or right. One thing I'll be thinking of how can I communicate with people that I disagree with lovingly and compassionately and intelligently, the way Charlie Kirk talked to me when I was at the beginning of becoming a Christian, when he told me that Romans is the Christian constitution, and maybe that's a constitution that we should all look at. a constitution that focuses on our status as adopted sons of the Most High, not material beings vying with one another just to be right online. I won't do my show today, but, you know, we'll come back in a couple of days or whatever. And, you know, if you don't think Charlie Kirk's death is significant enough to warrant that, then you can ally it to whatever cause you believe in, because I believe in everyone's right to have free speech, and I believe in everyone's right to live freely with one another and to find God between one another and within one another. Stay free.